Quickly before I start, I'd just love to have a massive round of applause for Red, the speaker that I'm speaking instead of. He's just had his first child, so if we can have a round of applause for him, that's really awesome. Choice. Well, I'm going to start off by telling you guys a little story. It goes a little bit like this. A scientist placed 5 monkeys inside of a cage. Inside of that cage, there stood a ladder, and on top of that ladder, there was a big bunch of bananas at the top. One monkey was curious. He thought to himself, hey, what's going to happen if I climb up the top of this ladder and I grab those bananas? So that's exactly what he did. He climbed up the top of this ladder, and he got those bananas. But here's the twist. When he got those bananas, the scientists, they sprayed the rest of the monkeys down below with icy cold water. And this frustrated those monkeys. As soon as that monkey came back down from the ladder, they all continued to beat him up as a punishment. So it didn't take long before this monkey knew, and he learned and he realized to never ever climb up the top of this ladder, as it would result in a beating. So the scientists then decided to mix things up a bit. They placed one monkey from outside of the cage and placed him in and swapped him for one that was already in there. And once again, just as you may think, instinctively, the first thing that this new monkey does is climb the top of this ladder. But this time, before he reaches the top, the monkeys down below, they grab him and they drag him down and all continue to beat him up so they don't receive an icy cold shower. So just like that first monkey, it didn't take long before this monkey knew and he learned and he realized to never ever climb up the top of this ladder. The same substitution process occurred, and what was left were 5 monkeys who never actually climbed up the top of this ladder to grab those bananas, but proceeded to beat up every monkey who attempted to do so. I believe this is the way most of us in society are influenced to think and believe about certain people, races, cultures, and life outcomes. Why should we be influenced to fit inside this tiny little box the rest of our lives? It doesn't make sense. We're all born different. We all lead differently. We all look differently. We all learn differently. And it's okay to be different. So it shouldn't matter your age, sex, race, weight, or social standing to give somebody a fair and an equal chance. I believe through doing this, we can create a bigger sense of community within schools, businesses, and the wider world. And I was all taught this by my mother, Ziggy. Ever since I can remember, I can hear her words echoing inside of my head. The world doesn't revolve around you, Noah. It's true. She taught me to be caring towards others. It's 3 to 4 times a year we'd gather up the toys that I would not need and give them to kids less fortunate than myself. It's taught me to think outside my own little bubble of 5-year-old consciousness, to appreciate the smaller things in life, and to really understand and make sure that everybody can have a fair and an equal chance of doing what they love. But following back to that monkey story, I once too shared a similar feeling of fear, just like them with that icy cold water. I was placed into, I was scared of something that didn't necessarily exist. And I was placed under the same blanket of fear when I got told that I was going to become a father at the age of 16. And when I got told this, I don't know about you guys, I know there's lots of 16-year-olds in here, 17-year-olds, 18, even if you're 40, 30, 25, this is a massive responsibility. And once I got told this, I had many negative thoughts running through my head. What made my family think of me? What made my friends think of me? And what might every single one of you guys sitting in this theater think of me? What might society think of me about me being a young father? So all these negative thoughts made me bottle up this whole situation internally. Instead of going out and telling my friends and my family for additional support, I kept this all on the side of myself. So I saved up to buy my first car so I could go visit my daughter after school. And it really took me about 2 months until I actually mustered the courage to tell my family. Obviously, as you know, being school students and just as people in general, word does spread, so the majority of my friends knew. So I went out on a Friday night and I visited my baby brother being born at Wellington Hospital. And then on the Sunday night, 2 days later, I got a couple of my friends, their learner license, to pick me up, and we drove into Wellington Hospital to see my daughter's first moment on this earth. And it was absolutely crazy. I'll say it one more time. So my brother and my daughter, they are 2 days apart. It's pretty crazy. So it was all a really, really massive time for me, as you guys can probably imagine. And I remember sitting with my school counselor. Something just never felt right. She was an amazing girl, a woman called Nicole. And she said to me, Noah, it's like you're standing on top of a diving board, and the longer you're up there, the scarier and the longer the fall is going to seem. And as soon as she said that, I saw myself standing on top of that diving board, a diving board that I'd been standing up there for well too long. But this time, instead of staying up there for a few months, I decided to take a step off. And when I fell off, it was fine, it was good. I got it over and done with. So I knew I had some massive news to tell my parents. I texted my mum. I said, Mum, I got some big news. I'm going to drive home and we're going to have a sit down and talk about it. And she replied, okay. So that 45-minute drive turned into an hour-and-a-half drive of wrong turns, procrastination, and lost directions. And once I finally mustered the courage to walk up those stairs, and my mum opened the door, and I was once again greeted by the warmth of my home, the fireplace, I was a complete mess. I had tears running down my eyes. I had a snotty nose. I was completely red. My mum was just stone cold, just as calm as you could be. And she said, Noah, I think we should sit down. I think I know what's happening. And obviously my thoughts were like, what is going on? She knows that I'm hiding that she has a granddaughter. And she sat down with me on the couch. She looked me dead in the eyes. I've never seen her look like this before. And she just said, I think I know what's going on. And my heart just dropped. And she said, do you like boys? And I said, no, Mum, it's almost quite the opposite. And I told her the situation. I said that I'm a father and you are actually now a grandma. And she thought that I was going into fatherhood. But I was already a father. Kyla was about 2 months old. So as soon as I told her that, we picked up a bunch of clothes, and we got to see her for my mum's first time. So that was really amazing for her, and she absolutely loved it. But one of the most valuable lessons that my mother taught me is that life's a blessing, and nobody should ever be able to judge that or take that away from you, no matter where you stand. So that moment I held my daughter for the first time with my family around me. That's when the stereotype of a young parent just got engraved and ripped out of me and away from me. I realized that Kyla is just another page in my book, another chapter in my novel, and another character I have to help guide through my own narrative. So it's all pretty special. I don't know about you guys, but I came back from a course called Outward Bound. So many of you guys heard of Outward Bound before? Fair few. Check out their stall. They're really cool. So I went to them last year in April, and to be honest with you, it completely changed my life. I was really, really unsure heading into there. I was like, how is kayaking? How is running? How is rock climbing and hiking? How's that going to change me as a person, as an individual? But I was completely wrong. But I won't give too much away. But they do place you on this thing called a solo. They chuck you into the forest for 2 nights by yourself. You got about 2 carrots, 2 Anzac biscuits, and a tarpaulin over your head. They even take your watch off you. You can't even tell the time. It's pretty crazy. It's a massive chance of reflection. And I thought, hey, I've learned so much from this course. I've benefited so much. And how can I do something towards my community after this? So I thought of a business model inspired by the marvelous Dan Flynn who spoke last night. I thought, why not start a clothing company that gives 100% of its profits to fund young parents to go on courses like Outward Bound and courses like Festival for the Future, courses they may not be able to experience otherwise. I think it's really important. So I set up a clothing company called Increase Clothing, and we network with local New Zealand artists and put their artwork onto our t-shirts. And then 100% of the profits, they go towards funding young parents and supporting their families. So we actually have 3 young parents here, the first that we've actually sent to any leadership event, and that's the 3 up there. So really happy to have them in the room. And we're also sending a young mother to 21-day course at Outward Bound in August, so that's all really exciting. But I guess if one thing I want you guys to take away from this talk is simply don't be a monkey. Don't be someone that's afraid of something that doesn't exist. Be a monkey that's free to climb and explore and jump across every adventure, every obstacle. Be curious and be open-minded. Because I know in my heart that age doesn't determine if you're going to be a good parent. But instead, being a good parent determines if you're going to be a good parent. Thank you so much, guys.